trying to figure out the new live stream. The way that we stream these meetings changed, and so Christine's working on it, so she gets it figured out great. If not, we'll just skip this one for this week. Just kind of wanted to start out just going over kind of some of the upcoming events that we have coming to the training center. Today there's, as most of you know, there is live streams coming straight out of Mega Camp. So Gary Keller did his regular kind of beginning session this morning, and then there's another, it's a part 2 as I understand it, at 1 o'clock today as well, and that's another about 3-4 hour live stream. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, the Mega Tech, as far as I understand it, that is like everything command. So if you want to tune in, we'll have it here at the office. You can also go to KW Connect and tune in that way as well. And then on the 15th, so Thursday, the Cultural Summit, which I'm told is one of the best meetings or summits that comes out of Mega Camp. It's just like a really good feel good session that's held. So just wanted to share that with you for this week. As far as just kind of some things coming up here this month, we do have KW Command on the 19th, so that's a Monday. So Katie will be running that. It's from 11 a.m. to 12. She'll be going over contacts and opportunities. There's a lot that was rolled out in Command over about the last week that has to do with how you submit contracts. And so she'll be kind of going over some of that as well. There is a boot camp class with Katie on the 20th from 9 to 11. And then going into the following week on the 27th, next Tuesday, the 27th, our next team meeting, there will be a Mega Camp panel. So the agents and the leadership team that attended Mega Camp will just be kind of sharing all their takeaways from that. So that should be a pretty good one to go to. John is doing a well and septics class on Wednesday the 28th from 11 to noon. So that should be a good one to attend. And then 125 live on the 29th. We do have an investor panel from 1 to 3. So just kind of some things coming up in the Market Center and, offsite as well, but just wanted to share those with you. I just want to start out by going over a couple of statistics from July. Just really 2 things I wanted to point out. We're starting to see the inventory of homes for sale just kind of slightly creep up. So I think we're still going to see that trend. I think with the rates getting cut and just with, just a really slight change month over month, we're going to start to see, again, things start to balance out in the market. So that's exciting. Good for our buyers that are, submitting multiple offers. And sometimes it can be frustrating. And then same with the month supply of inventory. So we're just starting to kind of see, it tick up a little bit this time of year. That is common, but hoping that that starts to balance out a little bit as well. So just wanted to kind of share those two things with you. These monthly indicators are always on the Southeast Minnesota website, available to anybody that wants to look at them. So it's just a really good opportunity or a really good resource for you to have to just kind of go and see what the market did over the past month and year over year, month over month. Just good to know the numbers. One of the main things that I wanted to go over today was just the forms changes. There's not a lot of really, groundbreaking changes. Really, there are just a few things that I just wanted to kind of point out to you, just so that you're aware of the changes in the forms. So, in agency relationship, one of the biggest things that we saw change was on the bottom of page 1, where you would usually have your client initial that they saw the predatory information on page 2. The information is still there, and we would always suggest, or we would always recommend that you point that out to your clients and your customers and just tell them that that's where they can go to find information about predatory offenders. But the place where they would initial for that has just been removed. So just know that that's a change. The counteroffer addendum has one little change. Basically just adding that the purchase price, if it's changing, and corresponding FHA escape clause sale price, if applicable, changes as well. So basically just tying those two together and not having to go back in to change the original purchase agreement for that FHA escape clause, if applicable. So that is one small change that we saw in the counteroffer.
Starting route to 3400 River Road North.
There were format changes, and you'll see these throughout all of the forms. The address looks a little different and the dates look a little different. So you don't have the separate part anymore for the year. It's all just one date. But the address on some of these forms actually was broken out a little bit more because we were seeing a lot of zip codes being left out and addresses being filled in incomplete. So you'll see some formatting changes throughout a lot of the forms, but nothing that we need to go over form by form. That's for certain. Addendum to purchase agreement, the subsurface sewage treatment system and well inspection contingency. So there was just one little thing on here. Basically just clarifying that a valid certificate of compliance for the septic system satisfies the obligation for the seller to obtain licensed inspectors inspection reports. So basically just saying that septic compliance certificate satisfies that obligation. So just again, clarifying, making it a little more clear. Cancellation of the purchase agreement, just one really small change because, earnest money is being transferred electronically now. They just wanted to add that in. So it's not just earnest money shall be mailed to, it's now electronically transmitted or mailed. So that's a small change. Seller property disclosures, the well information just changed a little bit. So they added, there are wells serving the above described property that are not located on the property. And then just that, the look of that changed a little bit as well. So just that you're aware that looks a little different now. And just a couple things added to page 1 of the purchase agreement. Attached mirrors, that was just mirrors before. Doorbells, thermostats was added. Whoops. Not sure what happened there. And then that last line, just kind of clarifying that the personal property should be transferred with no additional monetary value and free and clear of all liens and encumbrances. So just clarifying there a little bit with that. Also on the purchase agreement, just clarifying the calendar days and the final acceptance date. I feel like that was kind of confusing. So basically just saying that within so-and-so calendar days of final acceptance of this purchase agreement, all inspections, tests, and resulting negotiations, if any, shall be done. So just clarifying that that all of that has to be completed by the time the inspection period is over. I don't think that, I think we all know what that rule is. I just don't think it was worded very well before. So I think that helps to clarify things a little bit. And then I like this one a lot. Date of this purchase agreement. Date of this purchase agreement to be defined as the date on line 1 of this purchase agreement. So in Minnesota forms, whenever you see on the date of the purchase agreement, they're basically just saying that date is whatever is in line 1 of the purchase agreement. So just clarifying that a little bit again as well. Purchase agreement vacant land, just very similar changes to what changed in the main purchase agreement as well. So just so that you can kind of see where those are, page 1. Oh, this changed a little bit. This was just clarifying buyer obtaining a physical inspection of the property satisfactory to a buyer, just some more special contingencies. So just know that that was added on the vacant land purchase agreement. And the one-time showing contract now has a new name. It's called the Showing and Compensation Agreement. The agreement itself, there were some modifications made to it, nothing that, no big changes really. Just clarifying with the seller that they understand that the broker is not representing the seller and that the broker is representing the buyer. That this is an agreement of compensation and to show the property, and that's all it is. So I think that helps with just clarifying, you know, that who is being represented, and then also and changing the name of the form, I think just helped a lot. Which one is this one here? Oh, facilitator. This is throughout all of the facilitator agreements. Just change the wording. Seller directs broker to arrange for a qualified closing agent to conduct the closing. So just changing the wording there a little bit, clarifying things a little bit more. There's one new form, commercial disclosure statement storage tank. So basically it is exactly what it is. It's disclosure of any storage tanks that could be on the property. And really that's pretty much all the big changes. I realize that's kind of dry information to go through, so I apologize. I appreciate you hanging in there with me, but any questions on anything there?
We were out door knocking this morning and I ran into these doorbells that you can talk to. Evidently somebody's looking at you.
Ring.
Oh, by the way, it's John Ruckel, Keller Williams team.
Yeah.
And my question is, when it says on the purchase agreement, doorbells attached, these new Sky Bells and all that stuff, how are they attached? Well, these remote control ones.
So the Ring doorbells that
Yeah,
you see?
and it talks about you'll take care of all the wireless stuff, so the new owners are not gonna show up on YouTube or something. You know, that you've taken out all the electronic devices,
There's no,
video cameras and all that stuff, isn't it?
it's all web
Is it in the purchase agreement? These words? Or maybe I'm
Not, I
making
don't
them up.
think everything is.
Maybe I'm making them up.
There is some verbiage that basically says it's the seller's responsibility to disconnect, you know, all of that stuff, so that when the buyer comes in, you know, they're not, their data isn't being compromised. But I think if ever, you know, there's a question, it just gets written into the purchase agreement, you know,
So I
what
bring up
exactly
the
you want.
question because it looks like they've removed the doorbell
Mhm.
to put these things on there.
Oh, sure.
So you go to do your final walkthrough and there's no door, the Sky Bell is gone, or whatever they call them. There's all different kinds of names.
Mhm.
You have no doorbell. So you go to the closing, the buyers come back and say, everybody's knocking at my door. How come? I don't have a doorbell. So just double check it.
That's
I
good
bring it up
advice.
because I can see it can be
Wouldn't
a
that be
little
considered-
bit of a deal, especially if they cut the wire off.
Yeah, but I don't think it goes like that. I haven't installed one, so I have no idea who has.
Personal property.
I don't know.
Pardon me?
It would be considered personal property. Doorbell.
What?
Would be considered personal property, wouldn't it?
You'd think so.
I mean, you have.
I just bring it up because I would think it would be attached, but it could have double face tape on it. You go to the closing and they come back afterwards and, oh, I forgot my doorbell.
Right, and now
For
it's in the
$200
purchase agreement,
or whatever they
doorbells are in
are,
the purchase agreement, so
You
what
have to
constitutes.
indicate.
But I don't
I just
know-
bring
I
it
don't
up for
know how that-
conversation in here so you're prepared. When you go to your final walkthrough, just double check.
Yeah, so what, should we be adding something in there?
Like any
I
personal
would
property,
say-
just write it in.
Mhm.
Yeah, but many times you don't get a personal property addendum. You just, you know, because it's all, some of the stuff is
Mhm.
already in the main part of it.
I would
Right.
write it on there that the
Yeah.
doorbell stays
Mhm, mhm.
and make a
But
note
then,
of what
is
it
there a
is.
transferable, you know, user on that?
Well, that's,
On the
There's a
would be
website?
my
section
next
in
question is,
Yeah, how do
you
they
have to have
use
an
it?
account or how do you use it? So,
Because I think there's a fee, we should ask Sally, because
Okay.
she's got several of them.
Mm,
And she
Okay.
pays, I think it's $8 a month or something like that for this camera service,
Yeah, there's typically fees that are involved in those kind of security systems. I would just, again, if in doubt, write it out, just put it in writing, if your buyer is really wanting those things to make sure they save the property, I would just put it in writing. I think that we're probably going to see a lot more of that with a lot of the smart home devices that we're, seeing in homes now. So, I guess my best advice would just be, again, write it out. Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the Nest systems.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a nightmare because they're already in the owner's home, phone. They can control the lights and all the locks and the
Mhm.
heat and the air.
Well,
And
so
I'm like,
when
oh
you,
my gosh,
when a buyer moves into that house, there is a setting in there where they basically can just start
Wipe
from
it out,
scratch
yeah.
and reprogram it. Yeah. With most of those devices there is. So, but that's just a matter of your buyer knowing how to do that.
I know, and then it falls on us, and I'm dumb when it comes to these things. I'm like, I don't know how. So it's kind of embarrassing. I had a closing, and my clients were the sellers, and they had 2 heating systems, and one was a Nest,
Mm-hmm.
and it overrode the regular thermostat, and we monkeyed with that with the buyer's agent forever, and trying to get it right, and oh my gosh, because they would feel it was cold, and they would go up and crank up the heat,
Right.
and then the system would recognize it, and it would automatically lower it again.
Shut it down.
Oh.
That's a really good idea for an opportunity, I think, for training. If we have an agent or somebody in
Savvy
the office
about
that's
that.
just really savvy about that, to have them just kind of
Walk us through it.
to hold the training on that, that'd be a good idea. So I will write that down. I like that a lot.
I mean, I got a call the other day from the cleaning lady, and she was over cleaning one of our vacant houses. And she said, "Do you guys really want it this hot in here?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "It's like 90-some degrees in this house." Well, an agent had showed it, and she was trying to shut the gas off for the burner that was in the corner of the family room downstairs. The cleaning lady was, because she couldn't get it to shut off. And it was hot in there. She couldn't clean the house. And so finally, I said, "Well, there's a thermostat on the wall to run that." Well, the lady that showed the house, there was teenage kids along. They were downstairs laughing and playing. They turned it over to the max.
Oh,
That's
God.
They turned it on, and it was really hot down there. This is like 2 hours after the showing. And finally I said, check the thermostat. So she turned it all the way over, and finally it shut off. Went down to the pilot light.
Wow.
So make sure when you're showing houses, you double check.
Yeah, that's good advice.
If a fireplace is off when you got there, make sure it's off when you leave.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Common courtesy, that's for sure. Wanted to go over with you just, if you logged into Command the last few days, you probably noticed it looks a little bit different. So this is gonna be your landing page now in Command. So before where we had all of the kind of buttons that were the same, these apps over here did the same things that the buttons did. Those buttons are gone now. And you'll start to see your tasks are on here. I don't know if it is customizable at this point, but the dashboard will be customizable. But right now, tasks are on here, your database health is on here, notes you can put on the right-hand side, just some more statistics about your database. This I think is really cool. On the right-hand side, you'll see product updates, because sometimes I feel like it's like, there's all these new things that are happening with Command, like what's new this week. So now they've just kind of broken it down. So you can actually go in here and see exactly what new features were added and what's new. So for example, on the 9th, changes to the dashboard colors, which you can see, new widgets in the main dashboard, support, where you contact support changed a little bit, and I'll show you that in a second. There's a new smart plan that was just added, major improvements in the search feature, to the search feature and contacts dashboards for commission and compliance. So just a really good spot to go to see what is all new in Command and what's being changed. Because there's a lot of changes. They're making hundreds of changes a week to the system, and so it's just a good spot to go to see what's new. The little button down here, the little chat button down here is now gone, but you can go right up here, and this is where you would go to access any information, any help information. So KWU is on here. You can chat with support, or you can post an idea. So just wanted to point out to you that that is gone, because when I first saw that, I was like, oh, where is that? Where do I post an idea? It just got moved. So it's just in the upper right now. So, and I like the way that this looks a little bit more. I feel like it's just easier to read. I feel like it just looks a little bit more classy. So just wanted to kind of point out to you those changes on the dashboard. A couple other things too. We did a little short video, Katie and I know Katie sent out an email about some of the changes coming through with websites and .loop. So just again, to reiterate that you don't need to purchase a subscription to .loop. You don't need to pay for your place or website. I know those companies are reaching out to you guys and asking you to, sign up with them and create an account, but you simply don't need to. We just heard yesterday, as a matter of fact, it came out, and I'm sure it was a result of Mega Camp, that we will be partnering up with Brevity for our new websites. And we've seen just a couple of sneak peeks, and they're really gorgeous websites, and there's different templates you can have. And so more information coming on those as we on that same day. We'll share more information when we have it. But just wanted to kind of let you know for that, and then also for .loop as well. The drop dead date, 15th through the 14th, I think, of September. And one of the biggest things I can say, if you haven't done it yet, is just to get your database into Command. I can send out a template, and it basically is just, you can either manually enter your database in, or you can change the fields to be able to match what is accepted when we're importing into Command. Katie and I are splitting up the roster, and we're going to be starting to set up one-on-one appointments with everybody, just so that they can get familiar with Command. If you haven't, been in it a long time and you're not, familiar with just the basic features, the contacts, the opportunities, and now with commission and compliance, it's just been added. And then just to kind of get your database in there, because I know it's a big change and it's a great change, but we just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with it. So who, just show of hands, who is logged into Command within the last week or two? So pretty much everybody is at least familiar with the platform, and they're logging in. And how are we feeling about the program?
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with it, but I know it's great. It's just, for example, I've got duplicates and I cannot go in and I don't know where to go to delete one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Those little things that are really annoying, or how to update, or, combine them and get rid of just the littlest things are kind of like overwhelming, because there's not really good places to go to find out that information. And you would think that it would be more, user friendly, but it sometimes is not.
I think one of the biggest struggles that I had was just, there's multiple places you can go to get training and to watch videos. So I think just kind of simplifying that process would be a good idea. So I can send out an email and just, we'll see if we can't just simplify that, because there's a 66-day challenge, and then you can go to, see what's new in labs. You can go to KW Connect and look at the live stream. So there's just a lot of different places to go.
It's overwhelming.
I understand, and it can be, but I think that if I were to send out just kind of a more simplified version of where to go, it might make things just a little easier. So I'll do that.
You had connected me with some videos, and I went to watch the first one, and then the rest of them disappeared, and I couldn't go back to where the other ones were.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh gosh, I have no idea how to get back to that. And so I was.
Okay. I know that the 66-day challenge was just recently updated, so I'll just make sure that I send you the most recent link too. So.
know, have they done like any of these plans, these smart plans or 8x8s or, you know, I don't even know what the other ones are called actually, but can you do one more, I mean, 2 at a time per client, or is it just basically one? Cause I was trying to do something and I wouldn't allow it.
That's a good
I'm like,
question.
oh,
I'm not sure about that, but I can find out. And I know that those aren't fully built out to the smart plans. So, but yeah, I can find out for you and I can update you guys on that.
Cause there's a
too.
monthly update, you know, like the neighborhood thing that you want them to know when that
The
is.
neighborhood nurture.
Right,
Mhm.
and so I thought if a smart plan is already in place, which makes sense, but you also want them to know value to their neighborhood, you know? And it wouldn't allow me to do that, and I'm thinking, is that just me or is it the system?
So you're thinking more of like, you would set them up with the neighborhood nurture, the monthly neighborhood nurture, and then also put them on like an 8x8 plan or
Right.
something. Okay, yeah, that would make sense because then they're kind of getting a variety of information. So I can find out for you.
And maybe it's just me, it's user error for sure.
Well, it changes. They're constantly adding features, and so it changes. The look changes from day to day too. So that's really all I have for today. Does anybody have any needs and wants? Jim, you kind of shared some things in the beginning. Buyers, sellers coming soon.
If anybody has a Rochester 4+, 3+ home for under 300 in the next week, I've got an out-of-town person coming in very soon to get a house secured. She's just got her house in Ohio under contract, so she's starting to panic. I gotta have a place to move into.
There's probably quite a bit of buyers in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of her favorites that have been lingering on the market
Mm-hmm.
are smoker homes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So in that category, in that like approximate price range, they're if they sit out there, it's because they smell.
Sometimes I'm sure that is the case for sure. So, well, great. Anybody else?
So as far as green sheets, and we're still doing all of that at this point or not?
Yes, at this point, yes. If you were to submit a contract today, you would still do it through Dotloop. You would still do your green sheet.
When is that going to be? Is there a defined date?
The drop dead date for Dotloop is September. It's 14th or 15th. You guys, I'm sorry, I can't.
About a month, yeah.
Zillow will be on their own after that.
What's that?
Zillow will be on their own after the 14th or 15th. They own Dotloop.
With Dotloop, yeah.
Do they not?
They do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I could find that cable cutter, I'd cut the IDX link today and Zillow would be out of business.
Doesn't it make you curious about how much information on your clients that Zillow actually does have?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I've been
I don't know
talking
what
this
that
for
data
years.
agreement looks like. Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about Command is that technology is all within the Keller system. It's not being shared with anybody. It's not going out to third-party vendors that we don't know what information is going on with our clients and our customers. And so that's a great, thing to be able to share with your clients and customers as well. Because we're not sharing our data.
Are we gonna have to do something to download all of our past transactions?
I am looking into that. So what I keep hearing is that we will continue to have access through Dotloop. So as I understand it, you would still log into Dotloop and get access to your past transactions that way. Because we have compliance that we have to follow through the DOC, I'm just wanting to get clarification on for how long exactly we have access. I'm guessing it's 7 years, but I'm just working on getting a solid answer on that. So I'll let you know when we find something out. Because we need to have access to those transactions and those forms, so.
Either that, or we transfer that data onto an Excel somehow, a sheet with all the information for each of those clients, and then delete them before we leave, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, all of
Just
your
like-
forms are in there, though, all your contracts are in there,
I
so we
know,
wanna
but
make
that's
sure.
information that we could get through our North Star, I would imagine, right?
I think it's going to sit in dot loop until something changes or something new is announced, but you should have access to them still. Mhm.
I'm not a Zillow fan either, so I'm kind of like,
Well, this morning, Terry Keller was talking about Zillow, he said you need to stop advertising or buying leads from them, because they're trying to put you out of business.
they are.
Exactly.
They're taking our information and they're selling it back to
Yeah,
us.
right.
I've said it
Or
for
those
years.
that are,
Mhm.
buying and.
When Zillow first
Yeah.
came out, I'm like,
not a fan.
how do they have these houses? Well, our CMAR board says, well, we signed an agreement, an
You have
IDX
to,
link to give them our
right.
listings. I said,
Unsigned.
why would you give them that?
Yeah.
They're one of the biggest home search engines.
Right.
We go out and get a listing and they sell the lead back to us. Now, don't take a rocket scientist to figure this thing out.
When Katie and I were in our training in Austin, one thing that just stuck with me was that they said that Zillow was like the big elephant you invited over to dinner, and he got so big that you can't get him out now.
Yeah,
And I think that was just a really good analogy about how Zillow is just kind of, taken over a little bit. So, but going back to command, this is our way to combat that. I think that in the next, just like Gary Keller was saying this morning, in the next 6 to 8 months, we're really going to start seeing the face of real estate change. And so for us to kind of be on top of all of these changes, I think is really important. So,
Zillow's solution to get market share is buy all their listings. They buy ugly houses.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody knows this, right? They're buying houses, like, what's that, Carvana or CarMax? We buy your car. They're buying houses, so they've got inventory. Because they know what's coming on the horizon.
well, and and I don't know if any of you have, ever seen or heard information about how that process works, but these sellers that are getting Zillow offers are paying way over above and beyond what they would normally pay agents for a commission, and unfortunately, they just don't really know any better. So it's just important, I think, to know that information and be sharing it with your sellers when.
They said
They
that
say they want
Amazon
Zillow
and
right now.
Realty, that they're together, when they get up and going, they're gonna charge over 40%
Mm-hmm.
to us for referrals.
What?
40%.
Say that again?
Realty?
I'm sorry, I didn't
There's a
understand.
Realty, or which one is it?
Realogy.
Amazon.com teamed up with
Yeah.
Realty, right?
Yeah. Who's the parent company of Coldwell Banker and Century 21 and so basically what it is a buyer can go onto Amazon and they can request to find an agent, and as far as I understand, not all agents are eligible. It's a very small percentage of agents that are even eligible for these leads. So an agent gets a lead at 40% referral
Oh
fee.
my goodness.
Yeah, and
What a joke.
it's just like, they would work with that buyer, just like any other normal buyer. And at the end of it, the buyer, depending on the purchase price, would get like a credit up to, I think, I'm not even sure what it is. Say like an average credit would be like $1,000, $1,500 for like smart home devices. But what I don't think is being shared is that right as soon as that buyer goes onto Amazon and starts filling all this information, it implies a data agreement. And so now your buyer
Oh my gosh, yeah.
is sharing all their data with Amazon. So it's a great benefit to Amazon. It's not such a great benefit to Realogy, in my
You
opinion.
can't do
But-
an analogy of switching banks. It's switching real estate companies, switching banks, they give you a blender or something to switch.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're giving you credit on Amazon.
Amazon.
However, you're gonna give them all your information in the process and you'll never be.
Free.
So now I've said it for years. You know how oh, wait a minute. You know how Realtor.com started?
Couple of realtors.
Pardon me?
Right here in Minnesota. it started.
No, it started through the NAR started it. We paid to get it started. I paid $795 a month. And I'm like, this is crazy. And then they got it up and running. The National Association of Realtors got it going for all of us realtors. Okay? We spent our money through our association to get it going. Well, it ran for about 5 years. And then the National Association of Realtors decided it wasn't making any money, so they sold it. So one of the officers, the elected officers at the national level, vice president, ended up buying it. So Realtor.com started with our funds. We paid years ago to get that going. So that would be our Zillow, that would be our website, National Association of Realtors website. And they decided it wasn't making any money, so they sold it off. And one of the officers at our elected level bought it from California, okay, as an investment.
Yeah, so it's not owned by the National Association of Realtors anymore.
No, they don't own it anymore. They started it, sold it off.
It hasn't been for a while.
Oh, it hadn't been for a long time.
Yep. So again, that's just, with all of these changes in the industry, I just feel like it's important that we just know as much as we can about what's changing and arm ourselves as best we can. And one of the ways that we can do that is dive into Command and learn about all it has to offer. There's just a lot of really cool things that it can do. So on that note, I don't really have anything else. Thanks guys for hanging with me today as I pinch hit for Zach and Katie and Aaron. We're getting up to speed on everything. So, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. We have lunch that is provided by HMS Home Warranty. Jennifer Gagney brought that in for us. I think that's set up probably in the resource room. And there'll be another live stream starting at 1, coming straight from Mega Camp. So if you
Thanks,
guys can
Lisa.
make it.
Thank you.
Thank you
You did a
guys.
wonderful job.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
So what do we have to do? Kind of resend those.
I'll send you the PDF just to make sure. And then I'll send that, post it through our Facebook group so that everybody in our Hit Every Facebook will get in. And we should talk to Sammy about her doing a class for the.
We should. I wrote that down.
She
Well,
will be much more.
yeah, that's a great idea.
My husband can do some ring of the
I'm
doorbell and all that
wondering.
good stuff.
I have not.
It's okay.
I'm gonna run out actually before the next live stream. So.
Perfect.
Are you gonna be sticking around for a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I'll run it over to you when I get back.
Okay, thank you. Kids and everything. Everything.
Well, I brought cookies.
The roof is Thursday.
Somebody had some.
I think we all did one. Going fast. I'm like, wait a minute. Where did the baby face go?
Oh,
yeah.
she's so